if it's needed.
You filed police charges against the bulldozer company for a breach of contract?
No, it was against on-the-line fencing.
Right, that would be the bulldozer company.
No, on-the-line fencing subcontracted the bulldozing company.
For breach of contract?
I don't know what he did. We went after on-the-line fencing because that's who we had the contract with.
You used the police. So do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
You have the police. Can you provide the police
It's
report
upstairs
number
on my
for the
desk.
community?
I can go get it. I have the police report number.
Or later. I mean, I don't know. Up to the community would like to see.
Yeah, if you guys want to see it, not a problem. Actually, can you go on my desk on my filing cabinet, the top tray? Oh no, where the small computer is on the left side. Of my property is there's a manila folder and a yellow tray.
Okay, and then I wasn't really paying attention, but I believe one of the gentlemen over here was asking questions about no occupied structures.
Yes,
Oh yeah, on the multiple thing.
on the top first.
Oh, the multiple.
On the multiple.
Because you are still planning to put in a dormitory, correct?
On the lower parcel.
On the lower.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have allocated 4,200 gallons, 70 students, your student body is upwards of 300?
Our total enrollment, yes.
Right, and one of the reasons you want to relocate is so that your upper and lower levels can all be on one campus.
Yes.
Correct? So you have about 300 students
350.
and hopefully growing too.
We're not planning on it. No.
But it's, I mean, okay, I don't think anyone disagrees. It's an excellent, excellent school. It's just.
Well, let me
with the
rephrase.
location-
We can't expand according to our
Charter.
according to the record. What is that called again? The special permit says we only can have a maximum of 380. We can't expand.
3 students,
Yes.
plus you have faculty, plus you have staff.
Yes.
So you have about 400 people on the campus at any given day. You have allocated X amount of water, but you only have 7 water credits, correct? Maximum of 7 water credits.
Is that right? 7?
So I just want to speak to them in terms of units of water.
Wait. Okay, that's part of my next question. And you said that 600 gallons per student is based on certain criteria, which includes.
60. Not 600.
I'm sorry, 60. Yeah, I wrote 60. 60 gallons per student based on certain criteria, like if you have showers, which you're going to have, if you have a swimming pool, which you plan to have.
You're taking this
We're not
into
gonna-
my statement out of context. 60 gallons per day is a formula that the Department of Education uses based on their overall construction and design of a school. Those schools have cafeteria, gym, showers, irrigation. There's a number of things that a DOE school has that is not planned at this particular site.
What is not planned? You have a cafeteria, you have a gymnasium, it looks pretty impressive on paper. You plan to have showers, you have irrigation,
No gym
plus you have.
planned.
Yeah, it is. It's on your map. Yeah. Yeah.
The map.
The map is only a conceptual. That's not
Yeah.
the one up on the wall. I think it's.
Plus you're gonna have your dormitories, which will also have showers and all that kind of stuff.
Hydroponic farming. They mentioned that that's water intensive too.
Oh yeah, hydroponic farming. Plus you're gonna have 27 acres set aside for your wastewater holding area.
So what's your question?
So what criteria are you not? I mean, water is a huge concern.
No,
And plus you're down pipe of everyone who's going to be living above. So, and there's no way that the county can install some kind of button that says, okay, they're only gonna get 7 units, which is way less than whatever. And when you go over that, boom, that's it. Otherwise, you're gonna compromise the integrity of everybody's water system above.
And you got that
And
information
so-
about me?
Huh?
Did you get that information that the system would be compromised?
Because if there's a whole lot of water usage, okay, I live in a very small community of Malta, and we know that when there's problems down below us, the water comes out in a little trickle. And it's pretty universal, I think. So wherever there's problems below, the people up above are going to suffer. And there is no, we don't have any kind of special water system. I mean, we barely have decent pipes for the county, right? So how are you going to ensure the people, the community, that their water's going to come out sufficiently, they can flush their toilets? I mean, heaven forbid there's any kind of water emergency, they got to have water. They can't put in catchment systems on their property in the event that water gets compromised from below. Right?
Right,
No.
which is why the special use permit, the conditions that are in there, like Sue talked about earlier, there's 4,200 gallons, we only can have 70 students. We can't have more than that to use more water. I mean, that just can't happen.
So what are you going to do with your other 280 students?
That's the plan, and again, it's phased in, right? So the first X amount of years is only 70 students. And through that, later on, the next phase goes in as money come in, then.
So your high school that is now in Animal, which has been bought by a private entity who has other plans for the property. Where's your high school going to go? They're going to come over here?
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that.
So you're telling everyone here that for how long are they only going to have 70 students at your school?
That depends on the phasing. That depends on the money, the finances, the phasing, how we can do everything. The water calculation, everything needs to come in place. It's hard because it kind of feels like whatever I'm trying to answer is being kicked back to me. We're trying to work out everything as we can, and that book right there with the special use permit, that's what the state is telling us that we have to abide by. So if they're telling us that, you know what, I don't care what you do, I don't care what it is, you only have 4,200 gallons, too bad, forever and ever, then we only can have 70 kids on a property. Then we can never put more kids on a property.
Actually, you can't even have 70 students because it's not faculty and staff. You can only have
Well, whatever the
75.
calculations are, if they tell us that they're not going to accept our water usage or whatever, and again say you only can have 4,200 gallons, then we only can put whatever students that they say we can put on. We can't take anyone else, and we're going to have to figure out where everyone else goes.
Wouldn't it make better sense to look for a piece of land that can accommodate your student count? Wouldn't it make better sense to look for something that can accommodate what you want, and not have to, try to make all these other concessions? Wouldn't it make better sense to be in a community where it's supported? And wouldn't it make better sense to be where most of your students are?
So speaking to that, just for knowledge, we have 163 students at our school from this
Well,
area.
then there's a
So-
cap, right? So if you wanted to expand, you wouldn't be able to on this parcel.
It is ridiculous for us to think that we can move forward with this project with the information that we have and not have our 350 kids on one campus. It doesn't make sense. If we felt that can't happen, if we don't have our specialists out there telling us, yes, they can figure out the water, yes, they can figure out the roads, then why would we do that? Right? We have people telling us that these things can happen. We can fix it by doing this, we can fix it by doing that. If we can, we've looked at all of the parcels that we were given by the state, this is the piece to use, that's what we're gonna move forward with. So
Have you told us how you are going to fix the water problems? You can have 70 students right now. You're saying it will happen in the future. Right now we're spending millions of dollars and doing all these things for 70 students, less than 70. So how are you going to fix the water supply in the future? You need to be able to come forward.
Yes.
You keep saying you want to give us this information.
Right.
You're not.
And I was going to ask Sue to answer that because actually I have the paperwork on my desk. I personally haven't read it yet, but I don't know if you talked with Celia about the water, how we're going to fulfill the rest of the water.
Yeah, here's where I disclose. I actually sit on the water board, so I can't have that conversation because I actually am the member of the water board. So it's hard for me to have a conversation with members from the Department of Water Supply. So Celia Shen, who works for Will Chi Planning, developed a set of water calculations that they submitted to both the planning department and the Department of Water Supply. If I recall correctly, it was November 19th, or the week of November 19th. I had to take a kind of hands-on approach because of my position on the board. So right now, the Department of Water Supply is evaluating those water calculations and will be reporting their findings to the planning department based on the assumptions that the engineer or water engineer made based on all the different facilities and the facilities with along with the student population and faculty population, toilet flushing, faucets, all of that is kind of shoved into this water calculation. And we're waiting to hear back from the department. So, go ahead.
Well, my question is, I feel like we're in election times. We haven't heard a plan. It sounds so. Are you just hoping that they come back with a calculation less than 60 gallons? Is that what you're banking on, or do you have a plan for the other 200 plus?
There are other alternatives using being certified, which is your leadership in energy design, with all these faucets and low flush toilets. There's all these other components that can be plugged into those. I don't know how to say it other than those things kind of get vetted out as we get to more of the detailed engineering drawings that we not at that level.
But
I went to water calculation started right up from the beginning because one of the main things that's going to prevent you from having your campus education cheap.
And the formula that we used basically said 60 gallons per student and per student.
But are you saying for 70 students?
For 70.
Okay, but
So
he's
is
not.
this project for 70 students?
If this is for 70 students, this is beyond ridiculous.
No,
Is that what you're saying? That this is a 70-student project? Okay, but do you understand that there is a huge disconnect in what you're saying?
It's getting taken out of context.
Okay, but give us
Then
the
give us the
context.
context.
What's going to happen with those other
So
230?
there's other things that are available where we can use low flush toilets, fixtures, those things. And you guys are shaking your heads, but those things will be merged later on. That's how this process works.
But also in the draft EA and then in the permit application, they also talked about, they're gonna add, whatever the word is, they're gonna increase their water supply by water catchment systems, right?
Right.
And I think
Those are
at one point
potable
there was
and
like,
non-potable uses too.
Right.
We can get into
so like to
consideration.
flush the toilets, which are gonna be low flush, they're gonna have, but what are you gonna do? I mean, it doesn't always rain, and that part of Kaumana is not like as rainy
You're
as the Bronx.
absolutely correct, Phoebe, and that's why we prepared those calculations. And I know, Ryan, you said it should have been done sooner. The information that we had, that's what we gave them. And through that process,
And just realize we're shaking our heads because you're giving us no information. And you're just telling us, please trust us, it's all worked out, right? I mean, isn't that the message?
I've experienced that in a number of other projects, and it really is hard to trust. And it's not plug and play. A lot of times these projects they get built and everybody moves in. And DOE is like that. If you build a facility and our students move in.
But can you understand in the context of everything that's taking place that we're not taking your word for it anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's not like we're between 250 students and 270 and we'll make up that 20. You're between 70 and 300. That's not even close.
Well, and I guess the correct answer is we have a plan.
Okay.
We have a plan for all of them, which is using a potable water, which is using these fixtures that we can use to make up the extra. So there is a plan that was submitted for them to do the calculations and check, is that okay with you folks?
If the county approves.
Right.
And if there's rain.
If not, we have to bring it in.
A whole bunch of other alternatives. Wells, they could develop water, expand the line, a number of alternatives. But what I really appreciate is it helps me take this back to the county and say, hey, these are the community concerns. Here's how we create a condition of approval that helps address the water issue or the traffic issue or the improvements to the roadway. Even with the adjacent property owner, just the timing of his subdivision and the timing or proposed timing for this project just kind of don't line up right now. But he left the door open for us to come back and say, when I'm ready to move forward, where are you guys? Maybe we can still talk about an alternative access. That was, I thought was really helpful that Mr. Monte allowed that to continue.
Sorry, there are two more questions. And then I promise that's it.
Sorry.
So, at one of the meetings, Principal Thatcher said that there was going to be no exemptions for students in the community. Is that still going to hold?
No exempt. If we have an opening, then we'll accept the students. That's always been any student can put in an application, and if there's an opening at a grade level, then we will bring that student in.
Right.
But we also have to follow certain guidelines also by HSTA. We can't just put extra kids in a classroom. So we have to follow that as well.
Right. But Principal Thatcher said that the connection wasn't going to make any extraordinary efforts to allow students in the community to be placed on any kind of priority list. So for instance, he also said there's a very long waiting list. So any students from the community, just like you just said, they're welcome to put their names on the waiting list, but it goes at the bottom. There's no reason, he said that there's no reason for the school to allow the students in the community to have any preference over anyone else. Is that still true?
I don't know. We have to talk to him. I have to talk to him about that. I don't want to speak for him, but I know our process. I know what our process is. And our process is you go on the waiting list, and then per grade level, there is a long waiting list, K through 12 waiting list. I have 17 kids on a waiting list for second grade, but I don't have any for kindergarten. So, I mean, the list might be long, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be at the bottom of the 100 student list. They'll go on whatever grade level they're coming in.
Okay, so do you have a time frame when you might be discussing this with him?
When I get back from the mainland. I mean, because he's gone this week and I'm leaving Thursday. I won't be back till the 6th.
Can you give us an approximate time frame when you would have a response for the community?
What response do you? You're asking me to talk to him to see if the students in Kaumana will have a specialized or a preference on the waiting list. Okay? What is your email address? If you can write that down, I can email him, and if he'll respond to me, I will email you.